But I stand before you because I started my life off as an actual CSR. I worked phones at Western Union. I then went on to work phones for MCI WorldCom. And I know that it was the CWA that actually fought against those systems. You see, we're living in a time in which systems are clearly rigged against us. And I am here to tell you that while the system has been fighting me, I have been fighting them back. So whether we are talking about as a public defender, as a state representative, or as a U.S. Congresswoman, I am here to fight the system that is holding so many of us down. So when I was a public defender, it came down to those indigent folk, because it seems like some people get a get out of jail free card, while other people who need that card can't seem to find any type of cards. When it came down to being a state representative, I was one of the co-leads to make sure that we fled the state over voting rights. And ultimately, Governor Abbott decided to respond by sending me a warrant for my arrest, which I currently have framed. And finally, as a U.S. Congresswoman, I have fought so diligently, and so many of you are very well aware of those fights. But more importantly, we know that the President of the United States decided that he would then come after our voices, an authentic, unbought, and unbossed voice in D.C. And that's why they started with the redistricting in Texas. Thank you so much.
Mr. Talarico, we now go to your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Well, first, thank you to the AFL-CIO for hosting us. As a proud union member, it's an honor to be here with so many of my union brothers and sisters. I also want to thank Congresswoman Crockett for being here. Before I was a legislator, I was a public school teacher on the west side of San Antonio, one of the poorest zip codes in the entire state of Texas. On the west side, I learned that the real fight in this country is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. We will not win this race in November with the same old politics of division. Billionaires want us looking left and right at each other, so we're not looking up at them. We are building a people-powered movement to beat them in November. We've recruited more than 13,000 volunteers. We have traveled to every corner of Texas because we're not writing off any voter or any community, and we have shattered grassroots fundraising records without taking a dime of corporate PAC money. That is how we take power back for working people, and today I'm asking you to join us.
Thank you both, and I'm sure you've heard this before. A Democrat has not won a statewide race in 32 years, so electability is important. In the context of electability, style matters, and the next question aims at outlining each of your styles.
And we'll start with Ms. Crockett. You have referred to your authenticity as your political superpower. You went viral for your clash with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you've called Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. In 60 seconds, explain why that is the right style to win a U.S. Senate seat.
Listen, we are not looking at politics as usual. Just today, we just had another person gunned down in the streets in Minneapolis. And so for anyone that believes that we are going to be able to respond to this in a normal way, I think that they've got it wrong. But more importantly, when we talk about electability, how many of you have heard things like, we are the party of the educational elites? We've heard that over and over. We've heard things like, we are losing African-American men. We are losing Latinos. We have heard these things. Right now, we know when we look at our polling, when it comes to working class people, I am leading by 20 points. We know that I am leading when it comes to African-American men. We know that overall women are going to play a really big role in deciding who gets elected, and I am leading amongst women. So at the end of the day, when we look at the numbers are there. This is about whether or not we have the will, and right now, people are not happy with the Democratic Party. I've seen the polling. What they want is someone who is going to be unafraid in the face of what we are facing right now, which is someone who believes he's a king.
Mr. Talarico, before we get to your style, we do want to get your reaction to what Ms. Crockett just said. You'll have 30 seconds for this.
Well, I think the Congresswoman and I both agree that we have a moral imperative to win this election in November. If we don't win, we can't help people. I have seen the consequences in the trenches of the Texas legislature of losing elections. I've seen my constituents get hurt. I've seen rights that we took for granted rolled back. I've seen schools close. I've seen people not be able to access basic health care. So we have to win in November. I think she and I are committed to that. I hope all of us in this room are committed to that singular goal.
Mr. Talarico, you said that your campaign is shaped by two commandments: love God, love your neighbor. But a lot of Democrats want a fighter. So why do you think that your approach is the right one to get you to Washington? And you have 60 seconds for this.
I don't think you should believe anything a politician says. I think you should look at what a politician has done. The best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. And the people in this room know that I have fought tooth and nail for our values in the Texas House of Representatives. I have gone toe-to-toe with the billionaires who are trying to dismantle public education in this state. Tim Dunn, Ferris Wilks, Betsy DeVos, Jeff Yass. Those same billionaires are now trying to dismantle public education at the federal level. I led the fight against Greg Abbott's private school voucher scam that would have taken money out of our underfunded schools and given it to wealthy parents who already have their kids in private school. Now those billionaires are introducing that same voucher scam at the federal level, and they're gutting the Department of Education. So we need a proven fighter for our schools, for our values, for our constituents in the halls of power in Washington, D.C. I think we need a teacher in the United States Senate.
Ms. Crockett, your reaction to Mr. Talarico's comments. You have 30 seconds for this.
I agree that we absolutely need a fighter. And when I look at my track record, the track record is in this moment. It's about the fierce urgency of now. We are living in a time that many of us have never seen in this country and honestly never thought that we would see. And so I think that as we see a record number of retirements on the federal level from both the Democrats and Republicans, that boils down to people not being able to fight in this particular environment. I think that I've evidenced that. In fact, James and I served in the state house together. He's actually been elected longer than I have been elected, yet he's not as known right now because I have engaged in these fights and they have been right there on the front lines where people could see me out front. I think that because of, I didn't get my bad.